Yo, it's the big old deal, man. We tapping in with the tap ins and all that, man. We reacting to this video called How Not to Waste Your 20's. Hopefully it's some real good game in here and
Still
something we can
possible
learn
for you to be
from.
successful, or is it too late? I want to talk to you
It
about
ain't never too
my
late, my
friend
guy.
Kazi. He's a young man in his late 20s. He's also a coaching client and a friend of mine. And he said, hey man, I created this channel called Clever Coder, and it's got over 1 million subscribers on the channel. But I realized I was just like stuck on this content reel of just creating content, and I feel like I wasted my 20s. And I said, bro, maybe you don't have to look at it that way. Did you waste your 20s, or did you spend most of your 20s figuring out something that you don't want to do, figuring out that there's maybe a different path for you, figuring out that you're
It's a
meant
good
to
way
do
to think
something
about it.
different? And I said, in fact, that time that you might think you wasted, we could also reframe as time that you developed skills, the skill of creating content. You created the discipline of consistency, and
about
you were able to
perspective.
monetize your channel. And true, you weren't necessarily getting fulfillment from it. So once you've decided to not do it and pivot and do something that you are getting fulfilled, you might feel you wasted a decade, but in reality, you didn't. What you gained was experience. And that experience is going to help you time collapse the success of this next thing you do. It won't take a decade. In fact, it'll probably take 2 or 3 years, because experience is what we use to time collapse, right? And in fact, when people get coaching from me, when they coach with me to scale their businesses, what they're really buying from me is the outcome, the results that I've gotten over decades as an entrepreneur, and they time collapse the results they want. But I want to also talk to you guys about this as well, because you might be like, man, the dude's in his 20s and he's worried about like, did I waste my 20s? Fuck, man, I'm 40 years old. What do I do? Well, let's talk about that, because if you know my story, then you know that I came to this country and we lived in Section 8 housing. And when you're living in government assisted Section 8 housing because you're broke and poor and you need government help, then you're also surrounded by unsavory people. A lot of those were gangs, and a lot of those kids in those gangs befriended me and took me along on their journey of all the wrong shit they were doing. And I got caught up in that. Truth be told, in my 20s, I was carjacking people. In my early 20s, I was doing home invasion robberies. These are not things I'm proud of.
Well,
All
as a
while I was
fucker.
working as a bouncer at a gay bar, and trying to get some clientele as a personal trainer. And so I truly felt like I wasted my 20s for the longest time. But what I realized was that I've got this ability to figure out how to make money. Now, the way I was making money was unethical and involved a lot of risk, and I got into a lot of trouble for it. But if I've got this ability of figuring out how to make money no matter what, unethically and with high risk, what if I start doing things ethically and that are low risk, and where I could actually scale this thing because it's a legal business, right? And that's how I ended up becoming a successful entrepreneur, launching my 7 companies over, a decade and a half of focused work. But I never lacked work ethic. Like, my friends who were out partying on weekends, I was looking for cars to carjack. My friends were like sleeping in, and me and a few other focused friends of mine were stalking homes, trying to figure out the life pattern of the people who live there, when they were going to be in and out of that house, so that we can break in when they're not in there. So like, I was already developing the skills
work
of
ethic.
discipline, focus, consistency.
Work ethic.
I was just doing it in a very unethical way. But I share this with you because it doesn't matter if you're in 20s, 30s, or 40s, it's never too late. For a period of time, I felt like I was too late to the party. Like, here I was trying to launch businesses in my 30s while married and having 2 babies, right? Which now makes it scary to want to take risk and accumulate more debt. And that was in my 30s, guys. And so while I felt like I was behind, I was able to reframe and understand that I have work ethic. I don't have an absence of work ethic. I know how to problem solve. I know how to produce money out of thin air. Albeit I did all that unethically, I have those skills. And if I could just focus in on adding value to humanity, being good to people, serving people. Because once I started getting mentors in my life, and my first mentor was Jim Franco. He was a personal training client of mine. And he was in his 60s. And he took me under his wing, and he would guide me, he would advise me, and he would encourage me to. He goes, why don't you open up your own gym instead of working for LA Fitness? That was the first guy that ever believed in me. And he taught me the skills of selling. He taught me how to do follow-up. He taught me how to market and promote myself in that gym. And soon I was the busiest personal trainer in that gym. I was so busy, I had no more time, and I never had the nerve to tell Jim Franco that my previous life, I was an absolute scumbag. Because I looked up to this guy. He's like my rich dad. And so I share this with you because when the right mentor came into my life, I saw that it's not too late, that I have skill sets and traits that I could pivot into a new area of life. And so whatever your age is right now, you need to understand that the time that you think you wasted, maybe you had a job and you had this job and your boss was ungrateful. They never gave you the raises that you believe you had, the promotions that you had coming. Does that mean you wasted that time? Or did you develop skill sets? Did you develop some wisdom? Did you game plan something that once you launch, you could be successful at? Like, think about this. Even if you were like, man, Bedros, I just sat in my mom's basement playing video games and, stuffing Cheeto dust in my belly button. Guess what? The urgency of that wasted time should be enough fuel for you to violently execute on your life's goals and dreams. So even if you're like, man, but I didn't even do unethical stuff while disciplined and focused and driven and chasing money. Like, I was just a straight up loser in my mom's basement, slapping around my fat titties the entire time. But now I've been watching your show, B, and I realize that discipline is key and focus is essential, and that I must become the higher self, and through making money and getting fit and eating right and serving humanity. But man, B, I'm 40 something years old. What do? I say you take all that regret from living in your mom's basement,
Use it as
doing nothing about things, and you apply it as rocket fuel to launch now, today, in your 40s, in your 50s, in your 60s, because make no mistake about it, my friend, Colonel Sanders started KFC in his 60s. Ray Kroc started the McDonald's franchise in his late 50s.
Hey, stop training people in person to make money as a personal trainer. It's stress.
And you would be surprised with how much results you can generate if you can just focus your energy now. So you're either going to hand wring and complain about your decade or 2 or 3 that you wasted on your mom's couch, in a dead-end job, in a messed up relationship. Because, by the way, this isn't just all about work and business. This is about maybe you were just in a dead-end relationship and you stayed in it for a decade, 2 decades too long. Are you going to hand wring about it and be the victim? Or are you going to use that as rocket fuel to spend the next decade or 2 or 3 living a fulfilled life, a life of impact, of meaning, of significance, of servitude, right? Because you know that's what you're meant to do. Your conscience constantly speaks to you and tells you to do that, to make money, to have meaning, to inspire, and to be an agent of change. It's never too late. Remember how old Mother Teresa was, walking this planet, serving humanity, the poor, the destitute? And so you're only limited by the amount of time that you think you have left. And you don't know how much time you have left. And so you might as well assume you're going to live to 100 and go all in on your goals. So if you think you wasted your time, where should you start? Let's go there. Number 1, I want you to be very clear. If you're ready to launch, 1, you have to not have this regret that you wasted a decade or 2 or 3. Understand that you're either going to use that time that you wasted as rocket fuel because you're going to be so angry and upset and worked up over that you're like, I'm no longer going to waste any time. I'm going to be fucking relentlessly focused to produce an awesome outcome because I now know the path, and I'm going to use all of that anger of wasting my time as rocket fuel to get there. Or you're going to know that that time wasted, a decade or 2 or 3, was really skill sets being developed that now you can utilize in an industry that you're more passionate about, that can leave you higher profits, that is more congruent with where you are in life, right? I don't care if you think you wasted your time in a dead-end job, or if you think you wasted a decade or two in a business that you regret starting or partnering up with, or if you think you wasted a decade or two in a shitty marriage, whatever it is, now you're ready to hit the restart, pivot, and launch into something that fulfills you, that gives you a sense of greater purpose and significance. But also think about this. If you didn't experiment and waste some time, you would never figure out what you're really into and what you're not into. So give yourself a little grace.
The more you fuck around,
The more you find out.
find out.
First of all, identify what a win looks like. Let me coach you like I coach my coaching clients. When a client comes in and does that year of
Oh snap! What happened? Shit.
Awesome. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Overexcited. And I'm just very proud.
is it still
Now,
First of all, identify what a win looks like. Let me coach you like I coach my coaching clients. When a client comes in and does that year of coaching with me, the first time we see each other is during our first half-day in-person meetup here at HQ. And of course, little handshakes and how are you and how was your flight and all that shit. And within 2 minutes, I'm asking them, hey, at the end of this half day today, when you walk out these doors, what does a win look like for you? Let's be clear. And if they have a clear vision of what a win looks like for them over the next 12 months, 36 months, and 5 years, I marker board it out there. I go, great, there's our win. Now let's talk about how we can time collapse and get to that win, to that outcome. And the win, I always ask them, is it a win by way of money and meaning? Because if you're making money, but you have no meaning, you have no sense of purpose, it doesn't give you a reason to wake up and get excited to go and do that work, then soon that's going to fizzle out. Or if it gives you tremendous amount of meaning, but you're not making enough money to be able to live life, give your family the experiences that you want, to have financial security, to donate to your favorite cause in church and charity, but you're like, man, what I'm doing is meaningful, but I just don't make enough money to feel financially fulfilled. That's not going to work either.
Right.
So when I have my clients speak out their vision of what they want their life or their business to look over the next 12 months to 5 years, that vision has to be crystal clear. And if they don't have a crystal clear vision, I spend time in digging in and asking questions. By asking questions, I figure out what is meaningful work for them. What would they do for free if everything in their life was paid for? Most people can come up with an answer very quickly for that. I go, all right, now is there anything we can do to get so good at that thing that people actually pay you for it? And they go, oh shit, I never thought of it. Yeah, but the people that do that don't get paid much. They make 25 grand a year. I want to make a lot more. Great. The average person that does that makes 25 grand a year. But who's the guy or gal at the top who does that? Who probably makes a couple million a year, right? Because the best in class in every category of life and business makes a lot of money and has a lot of meaning. So when Kazi came to me and he's like, hey man, I did this thing, I built this organization, I built this YouTube channel, but this isn't the industry in the world that I want to operate in. I want to work on my personal brand, and I want my personal brand to help other creators create awesome YouTube channels because I just know the formula and how to do it. And I want other creators to be able to use my strategy and hire me as a consultant to do this for them. Sweet, we have a very clear vision. What is our next step, Kazi? Well, I need to start creating awesome videos that speak to that audience. Great, let's break that down. What is the cadence of those videos? Are we gonna put one a day, one a week, one a month? Is it just gonna be YouTube or is it gonna be podcast, right? And now that we know that what you're gonna do and who it's gonna be for, we can now go to step number 2 in building that business, which is who already has that audience. Rather than waiting for him to put his content up there and build his audience, we just asked the question, who has your future customers, Kazi? And well, he can figure out, well, this YouTube channel does, and that YouTube channel does, and that YouTube channel. Great, what can you do to build a relationship where you can have a symbiotic relationship where they can start referring people to you? They can shout you out. Maybe you can be a guest on their YouTube channel. They can be a guest on yours, right? You can cross-promote services if they are non-competing services. But someone out there already has your audience, your customers, your future customers. What you need to do is figure out who are they and how do I get them? This is how we time collapse. Clear vision, step 1. Step 2, what is my next step, right? That I need to do to launch. Step 3, who's got my audience? And once you go, who's got my audience, Now we can go, all right, let's create a product. Most people go, I'm going to create a product first and then go out there and sell it. I go, to whom? To nobody. I got no audience. If you want to create an audience, you got to figure out who's got your customers.
Who's got the customers?
If you want to make this business successful, you have to figure out what kind of content you need to put out there. And once you've done that, figure out what your next step is, what the vision is, who the audience is, because who's got your future customers. Now we create a product for it. Is it going to be a course? Is it going to be a one-off high-level coaching program? Is it going to be something like a seminar that you're going to do and bring people in and teach them for a day or two or three, right? Now you can create the product, or it might be a combination of all that. Maybe it's a course that leads to a workshop that leads to high-end clients that pay him $500,000 a year, right? Like there's big organizations that would be willing to pay him $500,000 a year to have the face of that company create an awesome YouTube and podcast platform that explodes and drives leads into there. He can help them time collapse. But now we can create an actual product, a tier of products, because now we already created an avenue of leads that we can network with people that have his audience. So going back to this, my friend, don't ever feel like that you wasted your time. Well, unless you're on the couch wasting your time. But even then, reframe that, my friend. Reframe that and use that wasted time as rocket fuel and then build the empire that is going to give you both.
So basically what he was saying is use your wasted time as fuel to the fire. If you feel like you wasted time, if you feel like you've been slacking off, or if you mad at yourself, don't be mad at yourself. Use all that energy to go do what you want to do. Use that as fuel to the fire. Let's get it. Don't ever feel like you wasted time. Because if you feel like you wasted time, you can't go back and get the time. All you can do is make up for what you wasted in the present. Now you gotta go get what you go get it. Go get it. Go get it.